everybody, it's Mariana with Three Peaks Classroom. In today's episode, I'm going to craft with you, and we are going to make a sheaf of wheat pin that you can make with your students to honor the victims of the Holodomor. If you didn't catch my last episode, I shared 5 different activities that you can do in your classrooms in order to honor Holodomor. But today I want to go into a little bit more detail about an idea that I had about making a wheat pin that students can wear on their shirts, kind of like similar to when we wear a poppy for Remembrance Day. I thought we could make one together, and then that way you have an activity that you can do with your students that's simple and cheap and very effective. So if you haven't seen that episode, the last episode, I will link it down below. But also this is a friendly reminder that if you are interested in subscribing to the channel, then that way you won't miss any episodes coming up in the future. So I actually popped over to Michael's and I grabbed the materials that we're going to need. So this is Crayola Model Magic Air Drying Clay. I got the pre-tinted color, so I got yellow. If you want to buy white so that you can have it for your classroom for other purposes, students can actually color it themselves by dabbing a yellow marker and then working in that yellow color into white Model Magic clay. But I just bought the yellow one for the purpose of this video. I also went ahead and I grabbed blue and yellow ribbon. Thankfully, these were actually on clearance. And so I was able to snag both of these on clearance, and we're going to tie ribbons around the sheaves of wheat for our pin. And then of course you're going to need a pair of scissors to cut that. Just a note that the Crayola Model Magic clay takes 24 hours to dry. So if you were hoping for kids to wear this pin when you teach about Holodomor, just know that it takes 24 hours for the pins to dry. So you might want to do it the day before and then have it dry, or you might want to do it the day of and then realize that, you know, the next day or over the weekend, the pins are going to dry, so the kids can't wear them right away. But I'm going to flip the camera around and I'm going to face it down while I show you guys how I make my sheaf of wheat pin. So out of this package of Crayola Model Magic, I rolled out about a ball that's the size of about 1 inch in diameter, and I would think that this is sufficient for students, for each student. So you actually don't need a lot of this. One package of clay here can go a long way. So anyways, you're going to give each student 1 ball of Crayola Model Magic clay, and I'm going to show you 2 options here that they can create. So they can create this first option where they're going to roll out you know, the long stem, and then they're going to add the little wheat pieces on the top. I don't know the specific name, but the little strands up top. Or you can do this version. I would say this version is maybe more appropriate for the older grades because it involves cutting, and you just don't want to cut too far to the edge because then it might break off. So this just requires a little bit more of a delicate hand. So there's 2 different options here, and we're going to make both. So let's start with the first one. We're going to create another sheaf of wheat like this one. I'm going to put this one off to the side. So we're just going to split our ball into half. Now it's up to you if you want your students to make 1 sheaf of wheat or if you want them to make 2 or 3. It's up to you. I think 1 would be plenty, but if you wanted to do more, you could. Now this one is quite thick, so I'm just going to go a little bit thinner. There we go. Just nice even pieces. Okay, so there's my long stem. And now I still have, this is what I have left over because I split it in half and then I split it in half again. So now I'm just going to take little chunks off the top. I'm going to roll them and I'm just going to press them on. Just like that. I'm just alternating left and right sides. And then of course I want to make sure that I do the other side as well, just because, you know, to give some dimension from the back as well. So it's not taking me very long. This is the start of it. Okay, keep going. I'm actually going to add one right at the very top. Also, doing this activity in the class, I would show students what a sheaf of wheat looks like, because there are some that have these strands, these little wisps and hairs, and there's some that don't. It just depends on the type of seed, the wheat seed. And you don't need to go all the way to the bottom because we know that the head of the stalk is the part that has all the seeds in it. So we're just going to do the top part. So far this is what it looks like. Careful not to smush them together. There we go. I'm going to add a little bit more. Now, this is very delicate because you don't want to squish, you don't want to press it down too hard that it flattens the strand, but you also want to make sure that you're pressing hard enough that, you know, these little strands here are going to stay attached to the stem. So you kind of have to have a balance of pushing hard enough, but not too hard that you squish the whole thing. So there we go. I could leave it there or I can continue on a little bit more, but that is the first version. And you can see that I used half of the ball plus I have a little bit extra here. And I'm not even going to need this whole thing. So you could even give each student a little bit less if you want. It depends on how many strands you want to give them. So now we're going to create this second piece that involves cutting. So I'm going to put this one over here. And this one doesn't require any extra pieces to be added on. Now my recommendation is to make sure that it's a quite sizable piece. So if I compare it to my fingers, because you're going to be snipping off chunks. So here we go. There we go. So you can see I did a little bit of an incision. I'm going to make sure I do one at the very top. There we go. And you're just going to alternate sides, making sure that you do not cut more than halfway. There we go. I could go a little bit further too if I wanted. This part is getting a little bit too thin actually, so I've got to be careful there. Okay. Actually, I am going to cut a little bit more. I want to go a little bit further down. Something like that. There we go. So here are my two for that one. And now if you want them to dry together so that they're one piece, one pin, you would overlap them however you like and then just press gently so that they stay together. And then this is where you would tie your ribbon. Same thing with this one. You could also even do a combination of wheat as well. You could have one of these in the middle with these two on either side. So there, I was able to make one strand of each type, and I still have enough here that I could probably make a third strand as well. So if you give each student an inch in diameter of clay, they'll be able to make 3 strands of the wheat. So now we are going to cut the ribbon and tie the ribbon around. Remember that it takes 24 hours at least for the clay to dry. Okay, so here I cut my ribbon. I would say that it's anywhere between 6 to 8 inches long. I just want to make sure I had enough to wrap around. I'm just gonna cut the corners. I like have my ribbon having these nice edges. So let's do that on this side as well. We are going to tie it around. I would probably wait to do this until they dried, but for the sake of this video, I want to make sure that I've completed this step. Okay, there we go. Over the top and down the bottom. Okay. There we go. So I would even cut maybe a little bit less of a ribbon, but that's okay. I love the blue and yellow. Blue and yellow, of course, representing Ukraine's flag, and then the wheat representing Holodomor, and the fact that Ukraine is the breadbasket of Europe. So there you go. Super quick and short tutorial video on how you can make a sheaf of wheat pin that your students can wear on their shirts as an act of remembrance of the Holodomor. Did not require a lot of materials. I would imagine that one bag of this Crayola Model Magic is probably enough for you to use in your classrooms. It's very inexpensive. You know, I bought mine at Michael's, and you can use your coupons and your discounts. I'm sure you can find it on Amazon as well. And then the ribbon as well. You know, if you wanted to just keep it with blue because the sheaves of wheat are yellow already, and if you just wanted to tie a blue ribbon, that's fine as well. But yeah, 2 different variations of the sheaves of wheat that you can make with your students in your classrooms. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you did, I would love for you to leave a comment down below so that YouTube can send this video out to other educators so that they can also create these pins in their classrooms as well, so that we can raise awareness about the Holodomor. Recently on Instagram, I did a poll, and you know, I'm Ukrainian. I went to a Ukrainian school growing up, and we did not learn about the Holodomor in school because, you know, the Soviets, they tried really hard to cover up any details of the Holodomor happening. And so the information that we have about Holodomor is from, you know, testimonials from survivors and such. So it's really important now that when we know about the Holodomor, that it's important that we share and we teach others about it, just so that we can prevent such tragic things happening again in the world. So by doing this with your classroom, you are doing your part in raising awareness and commemorating Holodomor. So I thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, everybody. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.